Welcome to Inside Plug, the podcast where independent creators and entrepreneurs connect and inspire. I'm your host, Devon Jones. Today, we have a returning guest on the show's director of photography. His name is Ben Redgrave. Ben, welcome back to the show.
Hi, thank you, Devon, for having me again.
Yeah, our previous episode, we got a lot of great feedback, and people want to hear more. So, for yeah, so for the people who hasn't had a chance to check out that episode, if you can just briefly catch us up. How did you get started? How was your schooling, and what has been up to right now?
Right, so my humble beginnings was in a Catholic high school. Quite a lot of those in Britain.
All right.
Um, and then I was always into film growing up, but we didn't yet have it as like a subject in high school. So even in college, actually, I was going to do film, but again, wasn't an option. So I ended up doing business studies and sort of marketing. So I really went for sort of that path in life, if you will. Um, so that was anything digital marketing, um, sort of search engine optimization, helping businesses, learning businesses, and sort of how marketing strategies, as well as AI, how has that sort of, um, well, made it more interesting, let's say. We don't know what's going to happen there yet, but AI is really boosting businesses. And then from there, we went to university where I started filmmaking and so I forgot what I said on the last one.
No, it's all good.
Like what did I say on the last one? Yeah, so I started film studies in university. That was a brand new sort of venture in Manchester. Um, and from there, I've sort of got more into writing. So I'm writing a feature film at the minute, which is I'm spending a lot of time on pre-production for this one. So it's very early stages at the minute. I don't know what I could say about it, but I could try and dive into that a bit later. Um, and mainly just filming. So my uncle has a marketing company and does sort of interviews for sort of loads of businesses, whether they're local or sort of overseas, looking to sort of get their foot on, through the door online, um, in order to sort of expand their exposure in the world. So I'm sort of helping filming with that. And I've also done a bit of editing, sort of, not really film or TV shows, more sort of like interviews, that kind of thing, documentaries as well, that kind of thing. And then I've been putting short films out on YouTube.
All right. Let's talk a little bit about the events. So, what type of events are these? How would you describe these events to us? And what is it that you're doing for these events?
Right. So the events is so that's a good question actually. How do I explain that? It's very different. It's a broad industry, so it's essentially different businesses all in the same room that are sort of pitching ideas and sort of how to make their mark on the world, I guess, with a new product or a new sort of image on Google. Um, so what we do essentially is we will go around, my uncle will interview, and it's sort of very fast setup. So the equipment we've needed has been, have to be very, what's the word I'm looking for? Very fast paced,
Gotcha.
Um, so those themselves, we do probably about 5 or 8 a day, about 10, 20-minute interviews. So working hours range, to be fair. But yeah, that's essentially just understanding what's coming out in the world, business wise, especially with AI at the minute. Sort of new AI packages, what's working with AI, what isn't. So that's very interesting, but also very scary at the same time. Technology is kind of, everywhere at the minute. And with short films, that's been very experimental. So instead of trying to work on big productions, I've been sort of doing more experimental films, sort of telling stories, but using, like, I'd say different images or a different kind of style to the film to add sort of subtle metaphors to the main point I'm trying to sort of present in the story.
Nice, nice. I love that. I love that. Nice. That's cool. So you kind of like get the first look of these new business ventures before they get out to the world.
Yeah.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And then you say you got your short films on YouTube.
Yes, I uploaded one recently called Procrastination,
All right. Yeah, can
which
you
I think
share?
everyone can relate to. When you procrastinate a bit, and I thought, why not make a film about it?
Hey, there you go. That's awesome. So yeah, if you want to share, what is your YouTube channel and how can they find these short films?
It's Let me just check. This is one thing with me. I always forget the names of everything. Um, it's Ben Redgrave, and there's a picture of me with a big camera, so you won't miss it.
There you go, you guys. Ben Redgrave, check it out. It's on YouTube and his latest short film, Procrastination.
Thank
All
you.
right. So also you have freelance and creative companies called Red G. So do you wanna how did you come up with the name and what is the company about?
Right, so my last name is Redgrave. So I decided to call myself Reggie, sort of shorten it a bit. I thought that I don't know, I thought that'd be interesting for a name, but yet to see. But yeah, so that whole thing came about of mainly working with my uncle and doing the different sort of business interviews and understanding technology a bit more than what I used to. And I think business is a part of everything, especially filmmaking, getting budgets and sort of casting, the whole thing really, setting up a film is it's a lot, um, especially on some budgets. So that was mainly to be more sort of working for myself in a sense, um, and build that up from the ground, which has been good. Um, and sort of diversify the skills I've gained over the years in sort of web design and sort of marketing other businesses, which also was a bit of a that was part of the business. But also my freelance photography and videography work, I thought, I want to be creative. I don't want to be in a boring kind of office job, or I don't know, something that's not creative. I wouldn't call it ADHD, but I'd say I like to be creative. I don't want to, I get a bit bored if it's just the same routine over and over again. So yeah, I thought that would be an interesting way to get my foot in the door with that.
Got you, got you. That is cool. So could you share some of this work? Like what is something that like you said, like you do like different you diversify your portfolio, right? So now you have these new skill sets with, web design and what is something that kind of like stuck out to you like, I never thought about this, but this field is kind of interesting and I'd like to learn a little bit more about this.
Yeah. So I think I've always had the mindset of I don't want to just do one thing, mainly because I would get bored of the routine. But second of all, I don't know, I think we live in a world now where, there's so much innovation going on around us. And I think there's ways to get more than one stream of revenue coming in from one job per se. So I thought if I can sort of put that all in together, especially the things that I'm into, like web design and photography, videography, sort of filmmaking as a whole, and photography, studio photography. I love just being creative. If I can put all that together, I can offer sort of a diverse range of skills and different sort of opportunities to work with customers and so forth.
Nice. And do you yourself have a portfolio that, others can take a look at to kind of get an idea of, okay, maybe there's something that I may want to, dive into, how can I set up my portfolio?
Yeah, so that would mainly be my Instagram. That's where I post a lot of my sort of business content, which is Ben Redgrave 7. And I'd say my YouTube again. The website is currently under maintenance, so I've not got the website up at the minute. But normally it'd be reggiefreelance.co.uk.
Nice, nice, awesome. All right, and also, let's touch a little bit about this. So you attended a master class, a while back. It was on cinematography and it had cinematographer, a known cinematographer, Fabian Wagner. Could you share that experience and how did that class help you with where you're at now?
Right, yeah. So Fabian Magner, if people do or don't know, worked on Game of Thrones. He was one of the cinematographers, so it was quite cool meeting such a work industry icon, would you say? Someone who, he's worked on a fair few. I think he's done Justice League, Zack Snyder's, I think it is. I think he worked on that cut. So he's sort of been around in the industry, which was good to sort of gain insight from, especially on the bigger productions. So I guess the master classes and what they sort of the impact it had on me was definitely working with big production designs, sort of big sets, and understanding the lighting more and how to set up the camera around the lighting. And of course, any issues that you might face on the day. There's definitely like, it really does surprise me even now when big sort of film sets and TV sets, for all the money they throw at it, they'll still have some crazy setup sometimes because they couldn't get a certain object, or because of they needed, let's say, sunset for a certain shot and they couldn't get it, so they had to make it all from scratch. I mean, it's I think that had the biggest impact on me for sure.
Awesome. So with all these new ventures, you got the short films, you got the business events. What do you do like in your pastime to kind of just, take a break from it? You want to unwind and then come back with some new energy.
Yeah, I'd say even when I do you know, I'll always say this, even when I'm sort of in my downtime, sort of relaxing, I feel like I'm still working. I know that's weird to say, but I think there's always something I'll do. Or if I'm watching TV or filming, of course, ideas, just stream into your head. So then you're just thinking, right, what's the next story going to be about? Or this could be a cool project to work on in the future. And then, you're constantly thinking. But normally I like music. I do like music. So I've been learning guitar at the minute, electric guitar. It's therapeutic, I gotta say. It's good. It's a good thing to do. Still being creative, still sort of learning something new, I guess.
Hey, that's awesome. I love it. I love it. All right. So we're at that time. For the new filmmakers out there, they're about to get their first audition, or they got their first camera, or even they about to write their first script. What's a recommendation you want to give them? It can be a TV show, a movie, a book, or it can even be a public figure, like Fabian Wagner.
I think there's a lot of great people to look up to in this industry, and I think if everyone's got an idol or a hero in that sort of sense in this industry, then I think that's always good to have to look up to. I'd say keep going, even if you're working a 9 to 5 job and you're struggling to find any time. I think stay motivated and build up over time. So like, there's no point getting equipment without having anything kind of planned. You want to build that over time. Maybe rent from other places if you can obviously find a good deal, because I know renting equipment can be a bit tough. But I'd say if you really enjoy the industry and genuinely want to just be creative as a whole, you don't really need to make a film to be in that industry or to try and make it in that industry. It could just be for fun or some kind of entertainment, something you like personally. So yeah, I think get equipment all the time and just stay motivated to come up with some ideas.
Awesome. Awesome. I love it. All right, there you go, you guys. Keep coming up with ideas, stay inspired, and keep creating. That was today's episode of Inside Plug. If you like what you heard and if you want to hear more about Ben Redgrave's story, check out the previous episode that we had with him. Ben, thank you again for returning to the show. Can't wait to check out that short film, Procrastination.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
All right. Thank you, everyone.